All right, this video is meant to show the kids and parents how we are converting fractions to decimals, because this is a really hard concept and we might forget it over spring break. So what I first teach the kids is, in order to convert a fraction to a decimal, is the denominator has to be a 4, a 10, or 100. Because decimals we read as tenths and hundredths, and then the 4, if I can get it to a 4, I can easily get it to 100 just by multiplying by 25. Students should know to write this down to help them. So there's a few levels of problems. An easy one would be like 2/5. Well, first I have to change it to a fraction that's going to have a 4, a 10, or a 100 on the bottom. So obviously I'm going to make that one into a 10. So 5 times 2 gave me 10. So on the top I need to multiply by 2. So here I have 4 tenths as a fraction. So I can easily write it as 4 tenths as a decimal. If I had, let's say, 50 on the bottom, well, I could possibly make it a 10, but if I divide by 5, I can't divide 13 by 5. So whenever there's a 50 on the bottom, I teach students to change that to a fraction that has 100 on the bottom, because I can always multiply. So I do times 2 times 2. That gives me 26 on the top, and now I can change this 26 hundredths easily to the decimal 26 hundredths. A little bit harder ones would be ones that have a multiple of 10 on the bottom. If it's a multiple of 10, we're going to change it to a 10. Now these ones I'm going to need to divide. So 80, I divided by 8 to get a 10. So on the top, I'm also going to have to divide by 8. 24 divided by 8 is 3. I have 3 tenths now, which I can easily change to a decimal. Another one that we've learned how to do is if there is a 25 on the bottom. If there's a 25 on the bottom, I'm going to change it to 100 on the bottom, so I can make that into a decimal. I multiplied by 4. So on the top I need to multiply by 4. I get 16 hundredths, which I can write as a decimal. Most kids can understand these. When it gets harder is when I have to change my denominator to a 4 and then to 100, because that puts an extra step in, and that's where some of us are struggling. For example, if I had 3/12, well, I can't change my 12 to a 10, and 12 doesn't go into 100, so my only choice is to change it to a 4. In order to change my 12 to a 4, I had to divide by 3. So on the top, I also divide by 3, so I get 1/4. I still can't write 1/4 as a decimal. So that is why I have this times 25 right here. Step 2, they need to multiply both by 25. Now I have it over 100. So now I can write 25 hundredths. And that works for anything that is a multiple of 4. So if I had 8 over 16. Okay, this is a multiple of 4, so they should know I need to get it to an equivalent fraction over 4. Well, in order for it to get to 16 to 4, I divided by 4. So on the top, I need to divide by 4, which gives me 2. Now I need to do this step here. I need to change it to 100, which was times 25. So on the top, I need to multiply by 25. That gives me 50 over 100. 50 hundredths, or 5 tenths if you just leave the 0 off.